book besties, welcome to More Than a Book Club podcast. I'm your host, Leyna.
And I'm your other host, LJ. And before we actually get started on our topic today, I want to remind you that our book for the month of March is James by Percival Everett. And fun fact, we both have already finished listening to the audiobook. So you still have a lot of time though, because we won't record that episode until the end of the month. Now we have time to potentially read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, because we've talked about it. I don't know about the Tom Sawyer, but I am definitely going to try to do Huckleberry Finn if I can talk.
I think that Huckleberry Finn would probably go better with James too, because James talks more about the Huckleberry Finn side of things and doesn't really mention Tom Sawyer a whole ton. We'll see. Yeah. But before we get into any of that, I do want to remind everybody, however you're listening to our podcast, whether that's on YouTube, on Spotify, if you found us on Instagram, any of those, please like and subscribe to our podcast. We love to get new followers. In fact, we've gotten quite a bit of new subscribers recently. So we wanted to say hi to everybody who's new.
Hello, welcome.
Make sure that you are checking out our Instagram account. We do post there pretty frequently. Same with TikTok, YouTube. You can find us everywhere. Our handle is More Than a Book Club Pod. So look for us there. Join us. Join the fun.
So what are we doing today, Leyna?
So it is my birthday month. I'll be 43 on the very last day of March. When I was a kid, I used to say it was March the last because I couldn't say my THs right. I would say 31st. So March 31st, March the last is my birthday. LJ let me choose kind of some fun topics for us to do this month. And one of them that I had was, since we have so many new subscribers and new people here, I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of a get to know you. So we're going to do 16 questions for our 16th episode.
So fun.
So LJ, go first. I'll ask you a question. And then you answer, and then I'll answer it, and we'll just kind of go from there. Okay. And y'all can answer these at home if you want to, if while you're listening, you think about these things. Okay. If you had to change your name, what would you change it to?
Okay. So you're going to laugh. And I don't even know if my friend with this name knows this. Maybe I've told them. But I always wanted my name to be Emily. But
really? Okay.
I did. Yes. Like I would play like with my cousins. I mean, there were a bunch of different names that we had, but I love the name Emily, but I wanted it spelled Emely. I don't know why, just to be different.
Okay.
And so I wanted to be Emily, and I loved the last name Perkins. So I wanted to be Emily Perkins. I don't know why. I like the name.
Parks and Rec and Perkins.
Right, and Perkins. And Emily Perkins. I just thought it sounded fun. So yeah, I know that's so random and so kind of boring, but I loved it. And you know, the full name in like my imagination was Emily Amanda Juliet Perkins.
Oh my gosh, you had middle names. You had two middle names.
Two middle names, which explains why the cats all have multiple middle names, I guess.
Well, if I had to choose a name when I was younger, my middle name is Beth. And so I wanted to go by Beth because Leyna was always mispronounced. And I was super shy and I hated correcting people. So I wanted to go with Beth because that was easy. I'm like, 4 letters, you can't mess it up. But then as I got older, I liked the names Cecilia and Cordelia.
Oh, those are both pretty.
Yeah, I think Cordelia was, gosh, what was that show for now? But there was a show and, was it?
Anyway, an actress or a character?
It was a character in the show, and the dad was Treat Williams.
Oh, I mean, I didn't watch it, but was that Everwood?
Yes, Everwood. It was Everwood. And the little sister's name was Delia, I believe. But her full name was Cordelia. And that's where I got that from. And I was like, that's amazing. And then Cecilia was Simon and Garfunkel, the song.
I love that song. I love Simon and Garfunkel. So
it was a fun one.
I may or may not have on CD somewhere their greatest hits 2-disc album. So I loved it. And I begged my mom to buy me tickets to it in like the early 2000s. And my mom was like, I'm not paying $250 for you to go to Simon and Garfunkel. So I didn't get to go, but it's fine. All right. So next question. Would you say, are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
I think 100% I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies. But if you were, so I've always heard it described as how do you recharge your battery? And I feel like I recharge my battery by being at home by myself or with my family, kind of doing our own
Yeah.
thing. Going out into the world can sometimes be a little bit too much. If you were to throw me into a social situation like a party, I'm going to find one person and I'm going to stay with that person the whole time. That's going to be my person. But that's not, I don't like to be the center of attention. I don't like to be any of that. So I would definitely say introvert. But yet I can do things like be on a podcast. So
Yeah.
extrovert tendencies.
I love it. So I thought for years that I was an introvert, and I was, showing perhaps that was my personality. And it kind of started, especially during COVID. And it's like, I did not come out of it. I wanted to be home all the time, but I was not being energized by it. I just was staying without energy. And part of this too is, I know it comes up a lot, mental health. Like, I needed some help with my mental health, just like a lot of people post COVID. And I didn't realize that until I worked on things. And, I have shared that I choose to treat my stuff with medication at this time, in addition to therapy. And I will say that once that got worked out, I realized more and more that I am an extrovert with introverted tendencies, because I do like to have some downtime. But when I really think about it, where I get my energy is from people. And I think everyone can get peopled out,
Yes.
and that's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm good with the small talk. I can work. I also like to stick with the people I want to talk to at a party. So if it's like, talk to my friends or talk to random other people, I'm going to stay with my friend, and I am going to glue myself to your side. But I don't mind being center of attention. I like being center of attention. So I don't know. I think I had a season where I thought being an introvert was what I needed. But really, I think I just was always drained.
So just from having known you for a while, you've hosted bunko nights, you've hosted Bible study groups, you've done all kinds of things. And I see you as an extrovert, but I can definitely see the introverted tendencies. I agree with your assessment, with your self-assessment.
Well, thank you. Same with you. All right, your turn.
Next question is, what is your love language?
Okay. I like to be loved with quality time. That's what I need. And don't get me wrong, I know we all can benefit from all the different love languages, like words of affirmation. I know I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, but I don't really need you to tell me I'm awesome. But when I do something awesome, I can recognize the quality of what I did, and I don't necessarily need someone to pat me on the back. Now, I like it. I'll appreciate it, but it's not important. And I like gifts, but I don't need gifts to feel special or loved. And I like when people do stuff for me, but that also makes me feel guilty that they did something for me. So I would definitely say quality time. And then I do like physical touch with the people that are closest to me. I become more of a hugger in recent years, but I'm not I would say I've become more cuddly. I was cuddly with my kids when they were little, but now with all these animals, apparently I'm cuddly again. All right. What about you?
They are cuddly.
They are.
I would probably say words of affirmation, because I'm one of those people that whenever I worked full time, every time my boss called me into her office, I was like, I'm going to get fired. It's like, I need that constant, tell me that I'm doing a good job.
I have that too. They'll be like, can you stop by my office? I need to talk to you about something. And I immediately am going through everything I've done recently and which thing could they be mad about. And 9 times out of 10, they're not. So I don't know.
Maybe that's just the people pleaser. I don't know.
Probably. Or you're a 6. Oh, I don't know if that's a question coming out.
It's not. But I'm a 6 on the Enneagram.
You're a 6 on the Enneagram. And that means we're in the same triad, because 6, 3, and 9s. And so that's where we kind of connect the most, are between in all of those. And so that is very 6 to be have all the worst case scenarios. So I guess sometimes I go to 6.
And that's, I catastrophize with the best of them. So that's probably where that comes from. But I do like to hear that I'm doing a good job. I also like quality time. So I would say it's kind of tied for those.
Yeah.
Physical touch. Usually I'm just like, ugh. Like
That's how I was forever.
I just that's not my cup of
Yeah.
tea. But I like spending quality time with my family. Like my husband for Christmas this year, he got me tickets to comedy shows and some outings. We have some
Mm-hmm.
mini golf things we're going to go do as a family, just because
Mm-hmm.
he knows that I enjoy spending time together as a family. And that I was like, that's very clever that you figured that out.
Yeah,
You went
I
with
love
that.
that. Good
Okay.
man. Good
Yes.
man. All right. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be?
This one is super easy for me. I would go to Pompeii because I have always wanted to go there. Like, I think that that whole thing is just awesome. Then I would go spend some time in Rome because Pompeii is fairly close to that. And I've always thought that it would be cool to go see the Colosseum. But then also going down the Amalfi Coast of Italy and just go explore southern Italy. I think that would be amazing.
That would be really cool. So I guess if I'm picking one, like if I could only go one place, I would pick Paris because I've never been to Paris. And I know like the people that have traveled all over Europe might roll their eyes at that. I mean, I've heard that, but I want to go see, like, I want to walk through Paris. I want to see the region, that word, the different like neighborhoods. I want to go
Arrondissements? Is that
that
what it is?
one. I think so. I think so. I want to be able to go to all the touristy sites. I want to go to Versailles. I have a slight obsession with Marie Antoinette, and yes, I also have a slight obsession with Anne Boleyn. I think it's the decapitations, the guillotine, all that stuff. I don't know, but either way, I want to go do all that because I want to go to the Louvre. I want to see Notre Dame, even though it's kind of burned a little bit.
Well, they reopened Notre Dame now, so now you can go back to it.
Now I can go back. I want to take the boat ride down the
The Seine,
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 that one. I want to do all the things. And part of this too, okay,
visit
I,
Jim Morrison's grave.
sure, we'll go with
That was
that
on that
too.
was on my checklist whenever I went.
Love it. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, oh my gosh, Charade with
Have
Audrey
not.
Hepburn and Cary Grant. And I love that movie, and it takes place, a lot of it, in Paris.
I think that everybody should go to Paris at least once. Like it's a fun city.
Mm-hmm.
It's different than a lot of other European cities, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
it's huge. Like Paris is giant. And there's a lot of history there and a lot of different ideas and
Yes.
cultures. I applaud your travel choices.
Well, I would like to go to Pompeii too, because I was kind of obsessed with people and the preserve and all that stuff. So we'll just have to go to both, Leyna. Let's just
I
win
will
the
say
lottery and
that
go.
I always thought that it was their actual bodies that were preserved,
Instead of the,
but it's the space, I guess, was preserved, and
yeah,
then they
yeah,
put plaster or concrete or something in there to
something, yeah.
show where the bodies were. And I was like, interesting. So I just recently learned that. I watched some stupid show on Pompeii
Hey, that's not stupid. Documentaries, love
for the
them.
win.
For the win. Yes.
All right. What's one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't yet?
Don't know. This is a hard question. I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I guess travel more. I was raised in a family that we didn't get to do much traveling. Part of that was financial because my mom was a single mom for a while. And then it just was, I guess, not a priority in the early. We had kids very young, and I think we were kind of waiting until they got older. And then, well, now we're divorced and I don't have the money to go traveling, but I want to do more traveling. I feel like I've missed out on a lot, like even in the US. And I know I've done some road tripping, but like I've never been to Colorado. I want to get to Colorado. So it's not my number one if I have to go somewhere, but I would like to go see the mountains. Besides, I've been to New Mexico, but
We're going to Colorado this summer. And part
so
of the
jealous.
decision to do that was because I asked my kids, would you want to go to Seattle or New York? Pick one. And they each, like, one chose one chose the other. And I'm like, okay, well, we're just going to go in the middle. We'll go to
I love
Denver.
it. Hey, good reasoning, which I also want to go to New York and I also want to go to Seattle. So, we're just at all
All
that.
good places.
Yeah. Okay. What's one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't?
For me, it would be publish a book.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
Gotten to the point where I wrote it and I went back and started editing. And then I was like, oh, this is horrible. but I would like to actually get back into the groove of doing that and get it done. Make it happen.
I love it.
Self-publish.
You're going to do it.
I'm gonna
You're
do
going
it.
to do
There's
it.
still
It's going to
time.
happen.
There's still time.
Yes, there is.
All right.
I mean, I would say if we weren't doing this podcast, doing a podcast would have probably been my answer.
Yeah, I mean, this was not something I ever saw on my bucket list, but I think we had a lot of Mambo taxis that day and came up with the idea. We got cut off of Mambo taxis.
We did. For the record, they will cut you off after 4 unless you can assure them that you're not driving, and then they will let you have a 5th.
And that's what we did.
And then you're really cut off.
They had to get manager approval. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never been so embarrassed to order a drink.
Which, by the way, my boyfriend is a bartender, and he said that is actually standard procedure with a lot of drinks, like in a bar, that they will, especially if it's a restaurant bar, they will have, okay, this person's had 2. They usually have to get manager approval, but they go up and they're like, okay, this person seems fine. Like if it's a beer, they're not as worried, but if it's hard liquor, they're more cautious, and because they're more likely to be liable. And so you do, after a certain point, have to get that approval. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that at the time.
You're up next.
Was it my turn?
Yep.
So I got distracted. There was a cat. I'm like, wait a minute. And
that's a perfect segue to the next question.
That is a perfect segue to the question, are you more of a cat person or a dog person? And I will tell you, the reason I got distracted is because one tiger cat is in the closet, and I saw through the crack in the door to the bathroom that the other tiger cat, who does not usually go in this bathroom or this closet, is sneaking in. And there might be a cat fight here in a second. So, but Leyna, are you more of a cat or a dog person?
So I have both. We both have both. But I am a diehard cat fan. So the dog kind of happened into our lives. I found her when I was out walking, but I think that if that had not happened and all the planets had aligned, that I would never have gotten a dog. But
yeah,
what about
fair.
you?
I didn't know what I was, because growing up, I was only allowed to have the one cat. And I was little. They should not have given a kitten to a 6-year-old who was an only child, who could, dress him up in doll clothes. And
I was going to ask if you did that.
Of course I did. And, that poor cat. And he was kind of mean to people. And anyway.
I have no idea why.
I have no idea why. But so then as soon as I could get a pet as an adult, I got dogs. Mm-hmm. And I did love my dogs. I had 3, and then the 2 older ones passed, and I still have the little one, Phoebe. And one day at one point, my children's dad, my daughter asked for a kitten. He said, okay. So we ended up with 3 kittens that day, because I wanted one too. So 2 kids and me. And then during COVID, we got number 4, because he wanted his own cat, because they all kind of we each had one that was more our cat. And then I can't leave a baby cat alone. So that cat became my baby. And in addition to the other boy. And so, so we ended up with 4 cats. And then, there's 2 more and another dog that have come into my life. So there's 6 cats in my house and 2 dogs. But if it were up to me, I would only have cats. I love my dogs. I'm not, I will die when Phoebe dies. I absolutely will. And here's an example of never say never, because I at one point said I'm never getting another big dog. And then I've got this big dog that's so sweet, but he is a big dog.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's awesome that you have turned into such a cat person.
Me too. I think it's just one of those, you have to figure out what you are. And I am definitely a cat lady, crazy cat lady.
And I had told my kids that I was like, we're a cat family. We don't like responsibility, because cats are a little bit easier to take care of.
Much easier.
So much more independent. Mm-hmm. And they begged for a dog. And now that we have one, I'm doing all the work for it.
Of course you are.
And anytime that I'm like, okay, go clean up the yard or go take for a walk, they're like, do I have to? I mean, they do it, but it's pulling teeth.
Well,
and I'm like,
it is nicer that...
Yeah.
What is nicer that she's older? She's not like a puppy, because I will tell you, potty training is not fun with humans or dogs. I don't know which is worse. Actually, the humans might be worse.
We lucked out that we found a dog that was 3, is very intelligent, and already had training. Like, I don't know
Yes.
how. Like I said,
You
the
really
planets
did.
align.
Everything aligned perfectly. It was meant to be.
It was. Okay. Next one. What book genre is your go-to comfort read?
Okay. I would say I was trying to think about this because I have a Kobo color something coming in the mail in the next couple of weeks.
Ooh.
My mommy got it for me. Thank you, Claudia. Even though you don't listen to this podcast, thank you. Shout out, Claudia. And shout out to her oil leases, which is why I'm getting it. It was a good check. So she got me a little present. But I was thinking about that because since I'm going to stop purchasing Kindle books, by the way, I still have over 2 years left on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to enjoy that still too. And I have all my books. It's not like I won't still read my books on there. But I was like, if I were to buy a book that I already have, Jurassic Park. Jurassic
Okay.
Park is a comfort read. So I don't know, like, I guess science fiction, but it's not like I read a bunch of science fiction. I would say that or Twilight. So maybe fantasy, sci-fi. Like if I just want to read a comfort read, that's it. Or you're going to make fun of this. I've been known to go pull out one of my Babysitter Club books or one of my
That's
books
just
for,
like
it's just,
sentimental.
it is sentimental. And there are a couple of like books from my youth, which I don't know if you ever read The Dollhouse Murders by, I think it's Betty Rimwright. And oh my gosh, Emily has read it and we like bonded over this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And then I know I've talked to you about this, Miss Sweet Valley High,
Yeah.
but it's not a Sweet Valley High book. It was like when they did the Sweet Valley, like the middle school one, but with the Unicorn Club. And there's
We
one,
have talked about that. Yeah.
and so there's one, I don't remember the name of it, where it's like they find this ruby necklace and then they get to be extras in a movie and the set is haunted because there was a girl that was murdered and like someone else, I think, got blamed for the murder. But then it turns out it was someone else. Those two, like, they're comfort reads too. So I think I don't know. But that also would be like famous. I don't know. What about you? What are your comfort reads?
So I just picked a blanket genre because I don't really go back and reread books a lot.
Oh,
So
I do.
that is something that I'm not huge on that. Like once I read it, I'm kind of done. Every once in a while I'll go back and reread something. But like COVID years and when things were crazy with some health issues, thrillers were quick, easy. You don't have to invest a lot, I guess, into them.
That's
So
true.
it's
Yeah.
comforting, and you know that it's going to get swept up at the end. Like you're going to figure out who did it. You're going to have an answer most of the time. I will say
Yeah.
sometimes they kind of leave it open-ended and you're like, well, what did happen? But I think that is comforting to me. I mean, you could say the same for romance. You know what you're going to get in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But until last year, I don't think I had really read a ton of romances. But
You hadn't.
now it's my number one genre, apparently. So
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, if I just need something like to distract me, I would say thrillers for sure.
right.
Especially because on Kindle Unlimited, there are so many. So I can just let me just pick a random one. I still have a bunch of Frida McFadden's that I haven't read, and they're all on there. So,
Does she put
yeah.
out like a new book every 3 months or something? Because
It's
I feel like she has a ton.
It is something like that. She at least has 2 a year, but I feel like it's 3 a year. So I don't know how she does it. But, and I mean, some are like amazing and others are duds though. So it's kind of like, it just depends. But she had a new one just come out in January and I have not read it yet. So I've got some other stuff prioritized before it, but I want to read it soon because I can probably read it in like 1 or 2 sittings because they're so short.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
This one, I'm ashamed to say, Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell. That was always, so my family was military. We would go overseas to stay with my mom for the school year. And then during the summers, we'd come back to the States to stay with my dad. And overseas, they had McDonald's, but it was off base. And we had Burger King at the time. That was like the one of the big fast food chains, Burger King and Popeye's chicken, but we did not have Taco Bell. And that was like my number one stop. On the way home from the airport, I'd be like, can we please stop at Taco Bell? Like, I love Taco Bell.
Okay, so I was trying to think like where I can get a variety of foods because I think Taco Bell is an excellent choice. I thought about Chewy's, Mi Cocina. I thought about Taco Bueno even, but I think I would either pick the Cheesecake Factory,
Talk
or if
about
we're going,
extensive menu.
I know their menu is like 50 pages. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. Either that, or I think I would do Sonic if we're going fast food, because they have a wide range. Like,
I like Sonic drinks. Their burgers are okay.
oh yeah, I don't get burgers. I get like breakfast tacos and stuff like that. Burritos. Oh, and some breakfast. I like their breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh, their breakfast is so good. So, but then you can get a corny dog. You can get a hot dog. If you want one of their burgers, you can get that tater tots and French fries. Like, I like my potatoes.
Like the groovy fries or whatever. I love those things. Have you had those?
What are the groovy fries?
They're just shaped a little different, but they have some seasoning on them. They're really good.
Okay, that's good. Otherwise, Jack in the Box. I love my tacos and their curly fries. So
it used to be our late night spot.
Oh yeah,
Jack in the Box.
I know. I mean, those tacos, I haven't had those in a while. I'm going to have, and they're still so cheap. If you use the app, you can still get 2 for $1. Otherwise, I think they're $1.50 each. Yeah. Okay. So use the app. I mean,
using the
sponsorship,
app is definitely the way to go. We do that with Taco Bell all the time, and Sonic, because then they'll have it ready as soon as you walk up. Like, it's amazing.
It is amazing. Well, and just so you know, because on my working on Sundays, I have kind of a big gap between classes in 2 different locations. And the last 2 weeks, I've gone to Taco Bell. And when you go in there and they have like the kiosk that you can order from, you can check in with your app too. So they give you a code. So you still get your credit while ordering in the actual restaurant. And you can do that in the drive-thru too if you hadn't put it in through the app. So you still get credit. And I'm like, that is how it could be. That's how it should be.
All right. Next one. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm kind of neither these days. I'm just sleepy. But if I had to pick, definitely a morning person. I am much more of a morning person. However, in the summer, when I've had weeks off from school, I become a night owl. And so, like, this is what's so funny. I wear a sleep mask now to sleep. And yesterday when I woke up, and we're recording on a non-normal day, you guys. So it's a long story.
We had some mistakes were made. Technical errors.
So we had to re-record. And so yesterday was Saturday morning. And when I woke up, the sleep mask, I had not tightened it enough. So I kept waking up with it off. So I woke up and it was on, and I was like, I wonder what time it is. And I like started to lift it up, and I was like, oh, did I leave the light on? No, it was the sun. But it was 7:30 a.m. So yes, it was the sun, but it was
so early.
It wasn't that late. It was 7:30.
I'm way more of a morning person. I'm the type of person that 9 o'clock is bedtime. I tell my kids good night now, and then I go to sleep, and then they stay up later.
Same.
Like, totally. I don't know how they operate on very little sleep, but I don't. I need my sleep.
I know, but I guess we used to do that.
Even as a teenager, I would be the one that would be like, okay, I'm ready for bed.
Oh, no, I was too, but like college. College, I did have crazy hours.
And I will say that my morning earliness changes. So, like, years ago, I would get up at 4:30 a.m. to go work out. And I would get so much done by 7 a.m. It was amazing. And now I'm like, the thought of getting up at 4:30, no, thank you.
No. And well, do you remember I used to get up at 5? I would get up, I would do Bible study essentially from 5 to 6. Then I'd work out from like 6 to 6:45, and I'm like, now, like, I'm barely getting out of bed at 6:30.
Yeah.
I'm barely and that's because I have to get Kaylee to school. So, and sometimes it's 6:50 and we need to leave at 7 that I'm out of bed. So this is why I shower at night.
Just roll on out.
I know. Okay, what's something that you have achieved that you're really proud of?
So I just hinted at this, but I did an Ironman race, and that was my proud achievement. It was something that I had thought would be cool to do. I never thought that I could do it, but I did it. It's a triathlon. It's a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and then a 26.2-mile run. And I went and did it in Maryland, and my kids were in like first and second grade. So they were little, but it took 18 months to train for, and it was a lot of hard work, dedication, getting things done. So that was a big achievement for me.
That is a very big achievement.
I have the tattoos to prove it.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, this is the funny thing about being a 3 on the Enneagram too. Like we do something, okay, we're finished with that, we're on to the next thing. So then I'm like, what have I done that I'm super proud of? And I guess like, we'll just go with 1 year I read 275 books.
Which is dang impressive. I don't know how you did that. I really don't.
It was a COVID year. That's why. 100% why. It would not be able to happen otherwise. So that is the only reason it happened. I had another year where there were just over 200 books. And again, these were the 2 COVID years. Like, this is why I was able to do it. And I don't have that desire to do that because I did after a year of over 200 and then 275 or 275, then over 200. I was about burnt out of reading. And I was like, you cannot do that again. Like, you love reading. It is worth it to protect. Yeah. So
I did 100 last year, and that was hard. I can't even imagine doing that many books. That's crazy.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. We all have like I think for me, 75 to 100 is typically where I'm going to land. I did go over it, but last year, that was, as I've said, audiobooks. My commute, super long audiobooks is what made me even reach my goal and then go over it. So yeah.
Same. Audiobooks are the way to go. All right. Are there any TV shows or movies you could watch over and over and over and over again?
Yes, there are. TV shows, obviously. I think obviously Friends, How I Met Your Mother, The Office, Gilmore Girls. As for movies, Jurassic Park franchise, Scream franchise.
Oh, that's right.
And What to Expect When You're Expecting, He's Just Not That Into You, First Wives Club. Yeah, I think those are probably, Because I Said So, which is a lesser known Diane Keaton movie that probably isn't that good, but I love it.
Yeah, we all have.
What about you?
So I think your TV shows were spot on. I said Parks and Rec, The Office, Friends. Those are just the ones that I automatically go to. My daughter and I are watching 911 and The Rookie. And so we just watch those on repeat a lot. So like when summer hits and we've caught up on all the season, we'll go back and rewatch. So that's fun. Movies, big one that I like is Father of the Bride 2, the second one. So specifically that one where the mom and the daughter are both pregnant at the same time, which is just...
I love it.
Like, I hope that never happens.
Right? Gosh, no.
I cannot even imagine having another baby whenever my kids are like in their teens and no, thank you. No, thank you. And then 10 Things I Hate About You is another big one. I love that one. And that's probably like, we end up watching Lord of the Rings a lot because my husband likes that one a lot. Like, I like it, but that's his go-to. And then Ocean's 11, we watch that one.
I love Ocean's 11 is so good.
It's such a good movie.
It is such a good movie. And I'm with you on
the ones that are on repeat at our house.
And I agree 100% on the Father of the Bride too. That has always been my favorite one of the two. And it's just hysterical. Like,
Martin Short is just
and he has so much more screen time. We get to see more parts of his personality that just play in perfectly for him being with these 2 pregnant women. Like, I love it. Love it.
Steve Martin and Martin Short are just, they're friends in real life. They tour together. And then adorable. They're on the Only Murders in the Building, which is a great show.
I need to pick that one back up because I'm partway into season 2, I think.
Okay.
So I need
I feel like season 2 kind of lagged a little bit.
Season 3. I'm in season 3, I think. Oh, maybe I'm lying. Maybe I'm season 2. I don't know.
Where am I?
Somewhere. Where am I? Yeah. I can't say because I don't want to spoil anything. So not on the podcast anyway. All right. You were just gifted $100,000. What are you going to do with it?
I would love to say I'm going to do something crazy with it, but it would probably be boring adult stuff. Like, hey, let's put money in our 504, 401k, put money into like paying off bills, education funds for the kids. And then if there's anything left over, because I would probably want to go do a vacation at least, maybe I'd go do my Pompeii, Rome, Amalfi trip.
Yes. Okay, so I would pay off my car. I would pay off my debt relief, and I would plan like some sort of fun trip or something. And then I would see like, I would get a financial advisor, tell me how much to like put in one of those accounts, that investment accounts, like I don't know how to do any of that. And then the rest go towards, paying off my house. Like that's what I would do. And I wish that I had a more fun answer than that, but with this season of life, that is,
the responsibility, and we're middle aged.
Well, and I just, for the first time in my life, I'm in a financial like season that it's, I mean, I wouldn't say it stresses me out as much. I've been really like trusting God to like handle it. And he has. Like I ended up with $24 in my checking account at the end of the last pay period. And I was like, I consider that a win, because it was not negative. Positive. It was not zero. Yeah. It was positive. And that's the season of life that I'm in right now. And I hope that that will change at some point. And I believe that it will. But I mean, right now, that would be just take a load off if I could just, but definitely some sort of fun trip with the kids.
I agree. All right. What's your favorite drink? Non-alcoholic and then alcoholic.
Okay. Non-alcoholic, I have two. Okay. Diet Coke and coffee. Those two. Alcoholic, I think that I would say a mezcal margarita, which are expensive if you get them out in the real world. Just so you know.
Didn't you say they were like $25?
It can be. Like, I think I've been to one restaurant where it was $15, but if you just order it and it's not on the menu, yes, it can be $20, $25, because mezcal is not cheap, apparently. There are cheaper versions. When it's being made by my bartender boyfriend at home, I do not splurge. I'm like, whatever will do, we'll do.
Yeah. So
what about you?
Sonic. If I had to, like, that's always like the PTA question for teachers.
Oh, yeah.
What would you want for a Sonic drink? But I go to Sonic way more than I would like to admit. And I get a 44 Coke Zero with cherry and vanilla. That's like my go-to drink. I also say a classic Diet Dr. Pepper. So especially with Whataburger, go to Whataburger, get a Diet Dr. Pepper. Perfect. For a alcoholic drink, I would say a dirty martini with Grey Goose vodka. I do like that. And then a Mambo Taxi from Mi Casina. If you don't know what that is, if you don't have a Mi Casina near you, a Mambo Taxi, it's kind of like a margarita with a swirl in it.
Yeah, it's a swirl margarita. Yeah. So it has sangria mixed in with the margarita. So it's
delicious.
Lots of alcohol. And it used to be delicious to me, but it is not delicious to me anymore.
After the 5, that was all it took.
That was the end. But I'm glad you brought that up, because when you're talking about the Sonic drink, I actually also love Diet Cherry Coke. And it used to be that some summers you could get it at Walmart. But what I love is that Sonic has the sugar-free cherry syrup. So I can go there and get a Diet Coke with the Diet Cherry syrup, and it tastes exactly what I imagine. And so I forgot about that. I'm glad you reminded me. Now I'm going to have to get one of those this week, because they're so good.
So I have always loved Mountain Dew Code Red, but they don't sell the diet version anymore. I wonder if I could make that at Sonic.
Maybe.
I have to go see.
You'll have
to
see.
Go.
Yeah.
I'll report back.
You'll report back. All right. What did you do for your 16th birthday? Where were you living, by the way?
I was in Germany at the time.
Okay, great.
I turned 16 March of that year, and we left Germany in June to go to Spokane, Washington. So for my 16th birthday, we did 2 things. For my party, I had a tea party with my friends, like everybody dressed up. And my version of dress up was a white button-down shirt with a black skirt. And I think I wore black and white saddle shoe Doc Martens.
Nice.
And then we had fancy tea out of like china cups, and it was fun. And then my mom took us, because I was born in Germany as well, so to a different part of Germany. She took me and my sister on a trip to a hospital that I was born at, and kind of toured around there. And that was probably the only time that I'll ever go back to Bitburg, Germany. But it was fun to go do that little like road trip.
Very cool.
What about you?
Okay, so for my 16th birthday, I got my first cell phone, which
Oh,
the
yeah.
only reason I got one is because I was going to be driving and I was the first one in like between my parents and me to get a cell phone. And it was because of the type 1 diabetes. They were worried that I'd get stranded and need something. But my actual 16th birthday, I had a surprise party that I
Oh, so fun.
figured out as I was walking up to it. So here's what happened. It was before my birthday because I hadn't gotten my license yet. And so my aunt called me up and was like, hey, we're having like this thing at your grandmother's house. Can you come babysit? You know, at the time she only had one child. Can you come babysit him during the party and I'll pay you? And so I'm like, okay. So Dean was going to drive me there, but I drove. Like I drove and he, you know, doing my practice driving and drove out there. And we got out there and he was like, oh yeah, just park over there. And I'm looking and I see my aunt and uncle's car from
Yeah.
the other side of the family. Like they had parked where like the back of their car with like stickers like from their
Mhm.
kids' schools were on there. So I was like, that is Aunt and Uncle Lloyd's car. Oh, good Lord, they just attacked each other. It's fine. Um, but yeah, so I'm like, I said to Dean, I was like, that is Morgan's car. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I do. So we walked up and rang the door. Of course, it was a surprise. And so they had it at my grandparents' house because they had a really nice backyard and pool. They had a really good setup. It's not the house that my grandfather still lives in now because they moved to Colorado for a while and then moved back to Texas. But this house, they had, you know, didn't like the backyard up very custom. And then even inside, like it had a nice flow. And so they had a surprise party for me. So I had a
So,
surprise sweet 16. And that one I figured out walking up. There was supposed to be one when I turned 18 and they kept trying to, I don't know why. At 8, I was completely surprised. They did have a surprise party for me when I was 8 and I had no idea. 16, I figured out walking up to the door, which, I mean, that doesn't really count, but kind of. 18, my aunt was using my parents' brand new washer and dryer in their new house. And she's on the phone chatting away. Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow when we're all over here for LJ's party. And I was like, what
do
party?
tell. Do tell.
And she's like, bad word. And she's like, don't tell your mom. And I'm like, how am I supposed to not tell my mom? She's like, she's going to kill me. And anyway, so and I did tell my mom. So anyway, so that was kind of funny. And then 24 or 25, my friends did surprise me. They did it after my birthday. And it was when my ex-husband was deployed and they all surprised me and threw a party at my mom's house. So it was sweet. And that one I did not know.
My sister had a surprise party for her 16th birthday, and me and her went over to our friend's house to go spend the night. And on our way there, she was like, hey, one of our friends drove a purple Volkswagen. And she was
Nice.
like, that looks like Dimitri's car.
So it's
And
the same thing.
we were like, how strange. She didn't figure it out. And then we went
I knew.
upstairs and my mom had made a whole bunch of like, my sister loves macaroni and cheese and tacos. So she had made that and she brought it over like later, I think. I can't remember exactly what happened, but the party happened after we had already been upstairs. We had opened up my friend's closet and there was balloons everywhere. And my sister was like, that's strange.
And she just wasn't picking up on it.
She was not picking it up. But then
my gosh,
we went downstairs for supper and she got surprised.
Okay, that's good. That's so
She
funny.
finally was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no.
All right. This is our second to last question. If you had to choose a maid or a cook, which would you choose?
This is very hard. This is very hard because I hate cooking and I hate cleaning. But, and this is like for free for life, right?
For free for life. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would choose a cook because I can clean. I'm not very skilled or natural with the cooking. Like I can follow a recipe, but everything feels too tedious. So I think I would choose a cook and then I could do the cleaning. And or so I could pay for the cleaning.
I chose the opposite. Yeah, because if you're having a cook, you don't have to go out to eat as much because...
Yeah.
Yeah. So I chose a maid because I do enjoy some aspects of cooking. Like there's sometimes that I'm like, I really want to make this and I enjoy making
Mm-hmm.
this. And I think that I would miss that, but I hate cleaning. Like absolutely 100% hate cleaning. Would totally hire a maid if I could.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Last question. What's a book you have really wanted to read, but you haven't?
So this one, it was a movie that my mom always loved. And so I was like, oh, that's a good movie. And then I figured out that it was actually a book turned into a movie. It was Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. And I would love to go read that book. And I can't remember what it was. I feel like maybe we all read it, but there was a book about his girlfriend or whatever you want to call her. And it was
About
basically,
Laura?
that was not her name. I think
Well,
her
because
name,
Laura was the life partner, Tanya was the wife.
well, so it's not Laura
Oh,
and
it's not.
Tanya. Yeah.
It's different
So
people. Okay.
it's Boris Pasternak's girlfriend.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
he was
Not.
married, and then because the book was written in 57, I think,
Okay.
951, something like that. Either way, it was Cold War, and part of what she helped do was to help get the book out of Russia to
Oh,
Italy where
cool.
it was published. And so there was a book about
Nice.
that process. And she already had 2 kids. They were lovers, and she got picked up by the KGB. They were trying to get information on him, but she wouldn't give it. So she did 10 years at a Russian gulag
Oh my gosh.
and then came back. And then her and her daughter were arrested again. Her daughter was a teenager, I think, at that point. And then
Okay.
they went again to a work camp, all because of who her lover was and this book. And so I would like to go read the book and kind of honor them.
Yeah. I recently watched Dr. Zhivago because I am taking my time reading Anna Karenina, which takes place in Russia. And so I was like, I want to watch something in Russia. So I watched Dr. Zhivago. I have the book. So if you decide to read it at some point, I might be willing to read along with you
Yeah.
because I love that story. Yeah, I do.
I
And fun
haven't
fact,
seen the movie since I was probably a teenager. So
yeah,
it's been a long time.
so good. I'd forgotten a lot. I mean, it's a long movie, but I had forgotten a lot. But what's funny is in one of my ice skating competitions, I skated to music from Dr. Zhivago, including a segment had Laura's theme, which is a famous song from the movie. So, and it would be so much easier. People could pronounce my name right if it was spelled like her, because it's Lara and I'm Laura, but
Laura.
Laura. So I'm Laura. So yeah. Anyway. All right. I guess for me, this is kind of a hard question, but I would say, and actually I was just talking about this book with Emily recently, The Pillars of the Earth. I want to read I don't know how many books are in that. It might be one of his trilogies. It's Ken Follett, but it's one my mom gave to me years ago. I know she loved it. And it's one that I didn't ever read because I was like, oh my gosh, it's so long. And then I read, what is it, the Centurion trilogy. I didn't finish the third one, but I got pretty close. And so and they're all long. So I'm like, okay, so I skipped that one. They're not related at all. But I'm like, okay, so Pillars of the Earth is one that is definitely on my bucket list of books to read.
I remember I read that one of my friends had recommended it, and it was Danny was learning to read. So we had those Bob books, that are like those learn to read books. And I was using one of the Bob books as a bookmark in the book for Pillars of the Earth. And I'm like, it's a big book when you're using another book as a bookmark.
I mean, seriously, I love it.
Yeah,
so yeah,
it was fun.
That was fun.
So that's all for today. Those were our 16 questions for our 16th episode. We hope you learned a little bit more about us and about who we are. Our sweet 16.
Yes. So yeah.
We need to have a fancy tea surprise party.
We do. Definitely. All of the things.
So if you want to help celebrate us, you can go and like and subscribe to our podcast. Every like and rating helps us. So it helps get our word out to more people about our podcast and maybe some more subscribers, which we would all love.
Yes. And next week, we have a special guest.
Yes, Christine Wellert is going to join us. She is going to talk about a new book she has coming out. and we are so excited to hear from her. And we are currently reading her book.
Yes.
So we'll have some feedback about that and can't wait to talk about it.
Yes. And what else are we talking about with her?
Bookish events and authors we want to meet.
Woohoo. That's going to be fun.
It's going to be a fun episode. I can't wait.
All right.
We will see you all next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.